Honored to be here today with Morris School District's first ever female superintendent of schools, Dr. Mucci. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Oh my goodness, thank you so much for the invitation. I'm delighted to be here.
First, I'd like to start off the conversation by discussing some of your previous experiences in education. I would hope for you to speak to us a little bit about your journey, first as maybe a history teacher, and then second as the superintendent of Mountain Lake School District. How has that helped you prepare for this new role of the superintendent here in Morristown?
Oh, that's a great question. Thank you so much. So this is my 28th year in public education in New Jersey. I started as a high school social studies teacher. I worked 25 years in the Mountain Lake School District, 8 of those as superintendent. Then I went to the Long Hill Township Public Schools and worked as a superintendent there. And this is my 12th year as a superintendent. I think what prepared me along the journey is being in all different schools. So I've worked in early elementary settings, I've served as a high school principal, so I have an understanding of the continuum of education, and that definitely helped me have informed conversations with our students and faculty. And I think I've worked with students like you all my career, people who are highly motivated, they want to get the most out of their education, they create opportunities, and what I've seen here in Morris is a group of engaged learners who are working every day with outstanding teachers, and I feel prepared in that I have led and started a number of new programs and initiatives that have been grounded in listening to students, talking to teachers, and being responsive to what the community needs.
Awesome. So just to kind of build off of your history background, in one of the previous interviews you've had, you said that you always admired the rich history of the Morris School District. I was hoping you'd be able to maybe dive into some of those aspects of the history that you feel should be highlighted or intrigued you when you first set out the job.
So I came in at a very fortuitous time because it was the 50th anniversary of the decision to unify the school district with Morris Township and Morristown. So I enjoyed visiting the library, learning more about the connections of the community and the intentional nature of designing a school district that is responsive to the needs of all of the communities in the area. And I think what has been impressive, for example, when I was at the Life Lab presentations, was how in tune the students are with that. Whether they're working on a project to bring up a flag to design for the community, or they're trying to create a club at the high school. I believe that the history is also very much alive within the students and their values in the community.
Totally agree. I think kind of to build on that, I think our community takes great pride in the diversity that is offered within our district, whether racial, cultural, or even socioeconomic. One of the most important aspects of our district, I believe, lies within our diversity. But I think that maybe we can both say that this aspect of diversity maybe differs heavily from some of the previous experiences you've had in some other school districts. I was wondering how you find yourself embracing a district that has these differences in diversity.
So you're absolutely right. The demographics of the previous districts where I've worked are very different than Morris. But the close-knit community is the same. I think one of the things that was so surprising when I got here is the great connections that our faculty have and that they return to Morris to teach, to build their career, to raise their children. So we have over 80 faculty members district-wide who are graduates of Morristown High School. And they all came through different pathways and had different experiences in the high school and now do different jobs throughout the district. But it really contributes to that strong sense of identity and the community, which is so close-knit. So while the demographics are different, the great sense of pride that people here have in the school district and their commitment to community and service to others is something that I have experienced in my previous district and I enjoy tremendously.
Sure. So it kind of leads right into this next one perfectly. So as noted, the school district does serve a diverse population of students with wide range of needs, and I think you described that close-knit community among teachers, staff, faculty, and students is really important to build that. How do you plan to ensure that every student within the district is receiving a high-quality education regardless of background or individuals with needs, whether that they do fall in the special needs program or the ESL program?
That's another great question. So I think part of it is getting to know each of those communities. So I've made some time to meet with Mr. Acevedo and a group of students, and I like to listen to what people tell me and then say, okay, is this just your experience or is this something that's happening on a larger scale in the district? So for example, I recently learned that we had a number of students who might have begun their career in the district as freshmen. And maybe they came from smaller schools. Maybe they came from a different country, and this was their first experience in public education in the US. So they started Algebra 1 because that's where we're beginning them. But now we're realizing that many of these students, in fact 117 of our current juniors, took Algebra 1 as freshmen, geometry as sophomores, Algebra 2 as juniors. And they could be in Algebra 2 honors, Algebra 2 with high A averages. And then their senior year, they're going to have pre-calculus, and their college plans might be aligned with colleges that are looking for calculus or higher level math. So this summer, we're going to be offering pre-calculus honors free of charge to any student in Algebra 2 as a junior. And that will expand their ability to have access to the most rigorous curriculum. We're also looking at it from the other side, and we're saying we have students in 8th and 9th grade who are beginning Algebra 1, and we're doing a summer boot camp program. And that will review some of the important tenets, because as you know from your experience in math, if you don't have Algebra 1 down as the building block, the other math courses can become more challenging. And we're going to offer those boot camp courses, again, free of charge at different locations, including the high school, the neighborhood house, just reaching out to individual, maybe making a connection with the library. So I think the most important way to make sure that you're meeting the needs of all learners is to be speaking to all of the learners, asking them about their experience and seeing what can we do together to make that experience better. Some of the conversations that I've had regarding our special education students is also just how frequently are we providing in-class support? Are we offering at every level of class? When we give a test in the early grades for gifted and talented to determine those students who might have an exceptional aptitude in a particular area, are we offering it in the language that they speak at home? Because otherwise, we're just assessing how well they speak English. We're not assessing how gifted they are. So these types of programmatic things are what we're looking at currently. Also, when we look at the statistics at the high school and we see a correlation between how fast a student is able to exit through their access testing, the bilingual program, and move into some of the more general courses to be able to take advantage of the wide array that we offer here at Morristown High School, the STEM lab, the broadcasting studio. We have these amazing strands of career and academic education opportunities available to our students, but we have to make sure that they're available to all students.
Awesome. I totally agree, and I'm really glad you mentioned an initiative that you're looking to start with the pre-calc, because that kind of transitions right into the next phase of questions, which is about some of your initiatives that you're looking to either start or implement from perhaps previous experiences. And one of those things was the Biotech Academy that's offered at the Mountain Lakes High School. I think that many Morristown students who are a part of the STEM Academy may be able to benefit from this. So I was hoping you could maybe expand a bit on the key learnings that are involved within the Biotech Academy, and maybe perhaps that you might look to bring to MHS to enhance the current STEM program.
Well, the other week we had the STEM for Girls here, and part of the implementation when we first looked at the Biotech Academy was enrollment of females in science. And we found that students were especially interested in biotechnology and biogenetics, and we didn't offer a course in that. So part of the intention was how can we make sure that we have those pathways open for our female high school students. So that's how the conversation started. But I think the best thing about any of these academies and the STEM academy that we have here at the high school is the partnerships. So last week we met with some individuals from NJIT because the STEM academy and other academies in the high school have the requirement of community service. Yep. So what NJIT will do for us is they've got all the equipment. They have a multi-million-dollar 3D printing lab. They have ability to translate courses, to offer courses online, to give you a mentor in the sciences or in computer science or even humanities. But they need students who want to make a difference in their community. So we're starting exploration about an internship program with Morristown High School students and NJIT, where you can design the community changes you want to see through a program that's self-directed, much like the Humanities Lab, and you can get the support of a major research university to bring your initiatives to action.
Awesome. Another event that you sponsored during your time in Mountain Lakes was the Brain Food fundraiser, which helped raise proceeds for the Mountain Lake schools in a fun and engaging way from the community. Do you see similar events happening in Morristown? And if so, do you have any specific events you look forward to introducing to the community similar to that?
Well, some of the fun things that we're doing are working with the Education Foundation because they're such an amazing partner for our school district. I know they funded a lot of the equipment for the broadcasting studio. And they also have an arm that supports our Alumni Foundation. So one of the things I've been discussing with Mr. Rooney, and again, early stages, is just expanding and looking more carefully at our Alumni Hall of Fame and making it an opportunity to connect our students with people who are out working in the industry, who are alums, who can provide summer jobs, research opportunities, internships, college exploration programs. So that would be one of the things that would really engage us with our alumni, but not at a dinner at night in the school. Sure. With our students leading small group conversations and talking about how being a part of the Morris School District and Morristown High School community opens unbelievable doors for you when you're connected to our alumni.
So I hope that as a historian you can agree that learning from history and taking action based on our knowledge of the past can provide a fruitful foundation for the future. And I was wondering if there's any initiatives that you were looking to have highlighted that you may be bringing to implement within our school district, and just expand on those a little bit, take some time, talk about that.
Well, I think the key to any initiative being successful is having buy-in and making sure that it follows the values of our community. So these courses and the beginning of what we're looking at is part of an overarching goal in our budget to provide the most rigorous curriculum possible to all students. So another initiative that we're looking to shore up and enhance is our gifted and talented instruction and our school-wide enrichment models for grades K through 8. So you might remember it as the Quest program, and we'd like to add some dimensions to that. So that's something that we are absolutely working on. And then also making sure that all of our administrators and leaders in the district are engaged in our schools, engaged with students, and that we don't have barriers between administration, faculty, and students, but that instead we're all part of one learning community. So part of our initiative has also been making sure that our central office administrators are visible in the buildings, visiting classrooms, and learning and working together with our colleagues on the faculty and all of our students, of course.
So you talked a little bit about the importance of buy-in when you're looking to instate these new initiatives within the school district, whether it be in elementary school or high school. I was wondering how you felt about how you plan to engage parents and parts of the community in those steps that are crucial to take for the Moore School District.
So we had some listening sessions, and they were Zoom, and now parents could just come in, stakeholders, they could ask any question they wanted. The ones that I could answer right away, I did, but then I took a lot of notes. So I'll be sending out kind of the follow-up. So those topics in there were everything from can we improve the quality of food to the cafeteria, to questions about policies regarding lateness and vacations and testing and iReady. So it really reached the gambit of the pre-K-12 experience. So I will have another one of those listening sessions in April, and I find Zoom works really well. It's a good holdover from COVID. On one of the sessions, we had about 70 parents, and it's a great way to reach people. So by having listening sessions, we will engage them. And another piece that we've been talking about is having an athletic council. So we're excited to be getting lights on the turf this summer. But we also know that some of our other athletic facilities really need some attention. So the trainer's room, the boys' locker room, the girls' locker room, some of our entranceway where all of these great things that our student athletes are doing, we need to just bolster that a bit. So we've started by allocating at least $20,000 between now and June 30th, the end of the budget cycle, to clean out that the long jump pit. Yeah, that really was looking a little, it needed a replacement. We need better high jump mats for spring track. And we want to be able to support our student athletes, because the best part of a comprehensive high school is being a part of a team, whether it's an academic team or an athletic one. And I do believe that our athletic facilities need some freshening up and some investment.
Sure. It sounds like you have a deep understanding of the importance of transparency as a key aspect of leadership. I was just wondering how some of your experience in the past working with parents, teachers, students have allowed you to understand the importance of being very transparent in your actions and your plans.
I think you don't want anybody to guess, and you want everybody to be supporting the vision instead of trying to figure out what it is. Also a parent. My husband and I have 3 children, so I know what it's like to be a parent. And you know, when you come home upset to your family, your parents are twice as upset as you are, right? Seeing our children having a struggle or having difficulty with something is upsetting. So you have all of this academic training, but I think one of the things that has helped me the most in my career is being a parent myself and understanding how parents feel when they're called. You don't want your parents to call and complain to the school, right? So they feel like, oh, can I even bring this up? Will my child be upset? So more than being transparent, it's really just listening from a place of understanding, because the only way that we can improve the experience for the students and the investment and support of the families is by listening.
Sure. So coming into this, I'm not sure if you're aware, at the beginning of last school year, there was a new grading system introduced to the students and the teachers by the surprise of both parents, teachers, and students alike. That kind of caught everyone, almost blindsided everyone in a way. And there was definitely a lot of community backlash that came with that and with the implementation of that. It seems like this is not something we can expect during your time, that everything is going, that you plan to have will be vetted through, whether it's a student, teacher, or parent, council, get feedback. That sounds like something that you are looking forward to when you are looking to perhaps put something into place within the schools.
I would hope so, but you know, I'm human.
Yeah,
I've made mistakes in my career where I've looked at something and I thought, oh, this is no big deal. Like, we're just gonna make a new policy and we'll go forward with this. So I think that the main thing is that people know that they can come to me and ask questions and provide feedback, and that what you described so eloquently is my goal, and to hold me accountable if I seem to be deviating from that.
So I would like to talk about something that caught my eye as I was doing some research was a 75 student protest that occurred during a brown bag discussion that you had. So I was just wondering, one of the key things that I really thought was really awesome that you said was that listening and understanding before taking action was super important. So I was wondering how facing some adversity based on, like you said, everyone's human, we make mistakes, how you look to take feedback and understanding from community members will help you lead into better decisions or newer decisions in the future.
Yeah, that was a particularly hard time in my career. So that group of students, I'm trying to remember everything now because it was about 6 years ago, but the main thing that I remember was that there were a number of teachers who had been at the high school and were beloved, excellent teachers, and we had a group who came in at the same time and were retiring at the same time. We also had some individuals, like a perfect storm, moving to different places. Their spouse moved jobs and they needed to move. And the students really wanted to voice how upset they were that so many people were leaving. So we talked about having exit interviews, discussing, and I'll tell you something that I learned from that, which was really interesting. I think it might have been either right before the students came in or right after. I tend to look at things and say, okay, well, I know some of the background pieces of this. And I think our faculty retention rate at that point was insanely good, 98%. And in this particular year, it had dropped to like 95.6, okay? So it was still good, but it was, and it felt like a lot of people were leaving. So this was something I learned from that experience. I decided I've got to dig in. I have to present the answer. I have to give all the facts. So I went into the meeting. I explained what our retention rate had been over years. I explained what it was that year. And then in general terms, I talked about how many people were retiring, how long they had been in education. So they had maybe over 25 years of experience. And I presented all of this data to explain, and guess what? That's not what anybody wanted to hear. They were upset that their favorite teachers were leaving. Sure. And that I had a high school schedule plan that maybe had 3 of those teachers. So you do grow and learn from every experience, and I realized, wow, smacking out the statistics on this is not the way to grow, which is probably why the 75 students came to the brown bag lunch. Yeah. And then we sat down and really started talking about, okay, what does it feel like? Well, I'm going to be a senior. Yeah. And all of my older brothers and sisters had this teacher and had that experience. And now I feel like my high school experience isn't going to be as good. That's not going to be answered by statistics and proving that the retention rate is right. So what we also talked about there was, how can students be involved in the recruitment process and talking about what they want to see with teachers. We integrated more school tours as part of the interview process. And then we talked about what people liked about the teachers that were leaving and how we could continue to replicate that.
Totally. I think it's really important to be able to reflect on past experiences and use that to guide and inform decisions in the future. And kind of staying on that topic of teacher retention, obviously across our nation, teacher retention has been an ongoing issue for many school districts. I was wondering if you have any plans or what plans you did have to attract and retrain highly qualified teachers in our school district.
Well, I'm delighted that we have the aspiring teachers group here at the high school. We're also holding a job fair here to attract people from the area to come. But I can't take credit for any of the things that I'm going to talk about because they're all from the Human Resources Department and Dr. Clark and Mr. Sperano. But here's some things they've done. They've expanded how many student teachers we have, which is the pipeline for education. They've increased the number of interns that we have in guidance counseling and social work to make sure that we have those mental health professionals in the pipeline as well as educators to join our profession. One of the other things that they've done is created a partnership with Ramapo College and with other universities where individuals who right now might be a teacher assistant or an ABS and they're working in an instructional support role can join these programs to gain their teacher certification around the workday. So the classes could be offered on site for our teachers or aspiring teachers here, and it can move them on the process of getting their degree more quickly. I also do a lot of work in my volunteer effort, kind of giving back to the profession for aspiring administrators. So I've been meeting with the helping teachers who are teachers pre-K through 5, who assist the principals in administrative roles and tasks, so how we can mentor them and also build out a crop of administrators.
Awesome. Just kind of staying on the same topic of teachers, there's been a lot of focus on professional development days, whether it's for inclusivity and diversity training or social and emotional learning. And obviously all of that is very essential for promoting a welcoming environment for all students. But I think in light of recent events, it's very important to talk about teacher-specific options and help and mental, physical, emotional help that is being perhaps offered for teachers. I mean, there's a lot of opportunities for students to get this type of help around our school community, and I was just wondering if that's something that you're continuing to look into or beginning to look into in light of recent events that have happened here.
What a thoughtful question. You know, if the mental health and resilience of our faculty and staff is not something that we're tending to, then we'll have the burnout you discussed, or they won't be at their best for you each day, right? So how do we come to our profession at our best? So the district, again, can't take credit for it. It's from the Department of Human Resources, has a partnership with Atlantic Health Systems. And through Atlantic Health Systems, in addition to everything that individuals can, who are employees, can avail themselves of through our insurance, their personal insurance, we're bringing experts in mental health into the district for sessions one-on-one that you can schedule whenever you want. And then we're also adding Monday afternoon sessions so that faculty and staff can have a place to go to kind of talk about their day and seek out support in their place of work.
Awesome. Just to kind of go back a little bit further, and I know how you talked about how getting student involvement was really important for you during your time in Mountain Lakes, and obviously student empowerment is crucial for developing the next generation of leaders. And I'm aware of other districts that include student liaisons to the Board of Education, things of that nature. How do you plan on involving students in decision-making processes within our district?
I think one of the things that I can't take credit for that we do already is the paid work that we offer for students in working with teacher teams on revising and updating curriculum. What better way to have student voice? Also, big applause to the Morristown High School Guidance Department for applying for the AP pilot for AP African American Studies. An essential part of being a pilot program of any AP course is soliciting student input. What are the end users identifying? So I believe surveys, I know sometimes we get tired of them, we see them so much on our phones and they're there all the time, can be a nice way to gather data about students' experience. I also think alumni panels. You know, people traditionally come back at Thanksgiving or winter recess or spring break to visit their teachers, maybe formalizing some of that experience and having our recent graduates speak to our rising juniors and seniors about, I walked through the halls, I had a pretty similar class experience to you, and I went to this university. This is what worked well for me, this is what was hard.
Awesome. Kind of to wrap things up, I was wondering if you could shed some light on your future vision, whether it's a 5-year, 10-year plan here, and how you work towards achieving that goal?
Oh, so that's a great question. So logistically, when the board hired me, they offered me a contract that's 4.5 years. Okay. So that would be the remainder of this school year and 4 more school years. The maximum, superintendents don't get tenure, so the maximum contract length you can be offered is 5 years. Since I came in the middle of a year, the maximum I could be offered was 4.5 years. So I would love to have another contract after this one, and you know, this is the pinnacle of a career. I thank you for doing such diligent research and learning a bit about me and all the experiences that I've had, I've grown from, I've learned, and they brought me here. To me, this is the best job there is if you're in my line of work, so I'd like to do it as long as I'm doing it well and people feel the same way.
Awesome. Well, I thank you very much for joining us and giving a whole lot of information that I'm sure many people across our district would be very interested to hear from you. I thank you from myself just for joining me and helping me out with this interview. Hopefully for the best for the next years, even though I'll be out of here.
Well, you'll come back and visit.
I'll come back.
All right, thank you so much.